I'm going to open this package, which includes a copy of Phyllis McGinley's Pulitzer Prize-winning book of poems called Times 3. Times 3, one for each decade of her poems. So we have here a little bit of newspaper print, which I hate, but I'll do it for the video. And pull this out here. And here comes the big reveal. And I'll just let that sit over here for the time being. There we are. Phyllis McGinley, Times 3. Selected verse from 3 decades. And it says, for Mary Elizabeth and Gordon, the Hayes gift and the warm good wishes. Phyllis McGinley. There she is right there. Signature time. And I wanted to read a poem that's in here, which is about my hometown, which I call town. It's actually a village of Larchmont. And in it, there's a stanza about horse chestnuts. And I'd never seen this before, but I call my novel The Chestnut Tree. And I put a chestnut tree, a horse chestnut tree, in Gladys McGinley's front yard, which is based on Phyllis McGinley and her house at 60 Beach Avenue. I know a village facing toward water less sullen than the seas, where flickers get their bed and board and all the streets are named for trees. The streets are named for trees. They edge past random houses, safely fenced, with paling or with privet hedge that bicycles can lean against. And when the roots of maples heave the solid pavements up that bound them, strollers on sidewalks give them leave to thrust and pick a way around them. The little boats in harbor, where sails whiter than a summer wedding, one fountain splashes in a square. In winter, there's a hill for sledding. While through October afternoons, horse chestnuts dribble on the grass, prized above diamonds or doubloons by miser children shrill from class. I know a village full of bees and gardens lit by canna torches, where all the streets are named for trees and people visit on their porches. It looks haphazard to the shore, brown flickers build there, and I'd not willing, I think, exchange it for Arcadia or Camelot. There's a lot of Larchmont in that poem, let me tell you, and I remember it all. One fountain splashes in the square, that's Fountain Square. And I have a scene in The Chestnut Tree where Adam Jacobs is bullied by Sally Fletcher's older brother Peter in a Frankenstein Halloween outfit. And later at Fountain Square, where I call St. Catherine's, the church there, when Sally is sick, they go and they pray there. And as far as the sledding is concerned, you know, it's interesting. On Hazel Lane, across the street, you'd go through between 2 houses, and there was a huge hill going down to where the creek was. And we used to sled there all the time. It was like a stone's throw from her house. And I think Phyllis McGinley living right there on Beach Avenue. And she also, for a time, lived at 12 Hazel as well, I must say. And I think she knew that hill. Her kids probably used it too, as we all did. In the novel, I have them sledding over at Bonnie Glen, which is a golf club, and that's based on the real Bonnie Briar Golf Club, or Country Club, really, it's called. And I just call it the Bonnie Glen Country Club, I think. So that's a huge hill. And his friend, Adam's friend, Jimmy Robbins, almost falls into the canal at the end. There really was a concrete canal at the end of the bottom of the hill where you could almost slide into it. But anyway, that's another story. So getting back to our little area of Larchmont and the manor, I just love it. And again, she knows a village. I call it the town of Beechmont in the novel, and I refer to my hometown of Larchmont, but it really is a home village. And it felt like a village when I was growing up, especially down in the manor. The other parts of Larchmont on the north side of the Boston Post Road where my grandfather Grappa lived, who's also in the novel, by the way, as Grappa. That was a little bit more, I don't know what, cosmopolitan maybe. But down near the water, you sort of felt like you were in a tiny little hamlet of sorts. Now, look what we have here. And then I'll wrap this up. We have a vintage newspaper clipping. I have no idea what it is. Friday, September 23rd, what does that say, 60 or 50? I can't read it. 60. Oh, she won the Pulitzer Prize in 1961 for this. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's a review from the New York Times. Well, it's a New York Herald Tribune here, and this one's the New York Times, Books of the Times. Here it is. September 23rd, 1960. Unbelievable. There she is, Phyllis McGinley. And again, this is a signed first edition, I might add. So this is actually printed, as they say, 1960 and reviewed in 1960. The Pulitzer is given the following year. So she won the Pulitzer in 1961 for a book that actually came out in 1960. Now, where the heck is the review? Oh, here it is. It's on the other side. Okay, so we got two for the price of one here. Friday, September 23rd, 1960. They're both Friday, September 23rd. One is, they're both New York papers. New York, a lot of papers back in the day. This was the Herald Tribune. I remember that when I was growing up. So I will show it to you this way. And there's the book review. Boy, this is really collectible stuff. And then the New York Times one is here. I've got to be careful with this stuff. Okay? So isn't that pretty? And somebody was thoughtful enough to tuck them into this book, which is exactly what I'm going to do when I'm done with these, although I must say that there are discolorations that can happen when you put newspaper into books, so maybe I will put it in a separate little folder from now on. Okay. Well, that was fun. I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Phyllis McGinley ×3, a little piece of history. And in case I didn't mention it, she inspired me to become a writer because she lived right next to me when I was in Larchmont. And I never saw her, but I was inspired by the fact that she was nearby.